This is your Friday playoff primer, you could say. That's Lindsay and I'm Dan. Let's do this.
And we've got a full house for this one. Former Super Bowl MVP Terrell Davis, the NFL's all-time leader in postseason sacks, Willie McGinnis, and the Panthers franchise leader in playoff games played, Thomas Davis. They are here, they are picking games, and it's all coming up. First, though, it is the kind of stress that Steelers fans do not need this weekend. Antonio Brown sent home from practice with an illness. Tomlin says he didn't want to get other people sick. He still expects Brown to play, despite the fact that he is listed as questionable on the injury report. Also says that he's looked really good this week after missing the last 2 games with a calf injury. Other than that, the only other major injury news for this weekend is the stuff that we already knew. Andrew Skeet out for the Saints, placed on IR on Wednesday with a broken leg, so it'll be Senio Kelemete out there at left guard for New Orleans, making his 9th start of the season. The other big name that isn't playing is DeMarco Murray, who hasn't played in the Titans' last 2 games because of a knee injury. He was ruled out earlier this week, meaning Derrick Henry will be the one once again carrying the load against the Patriots. For a Titans team that arrived in Foxborough this evening a little bit later than expected. The team's flight out of Nashville delayed almost 3 hours after a plane slid off the runway, complicating their departure. But the important thing, they are there now, as is Kim Jones, who spent the day with the Patriots.
On the eve of the Patriots' divisional playoff game against the Titans, if anyone actually believes distractions could derail New England, they probably didn't hear Tom Brady's press conference on Thursday at the podium behind me. Brady said there's simply too much at stake. He also said that players have to prepare as they always do. That is what Brady always says. It probably helps Brady and his mindset that everyone for the Patriots is healthy. Chris Hogan missed 7 of the last 8 regular season games. He's good to go. And then there's Rob Gronkowski. He missed the entire playoff and Super Bowl run a year ago. He, too, is ready to go, and in his words, super excited.
Another thing to be super excited about in this one, Brady versus Dick LeBeau. The latter, a master at his craft with an NFL record 45 consecutive seasons as a coach. He's Tennessee's DC. He's had a lot of success in this league, but not, as you see here, against Brady, who is 6-2 with a touchdown to interception ratio of 15-0 in the last 5.
Dick LeBeau is such a stud. I mean, Hall of Famer as a player.
He's a boss.
Speaking of studs, everybody bow. It is the postseason sack king, Willie McGinnis, here in the house.
Great around here.
Let me ask you about your team, because this is the question everybody wants to always know the answer to. They adjust their offensive game plan.
They do.
Of course, I'm talking about the Patriots better than anybody else in football. How do you see them attacking the Titans?
I got a couple things, Dan. So we just talked about Dick LeBeau, and you always got to survive Dick LeBeau, meaning he's going to give you a different look every single time you play him. He's going to try to affect the pocket. So they got to do a great job of protecting Tom Brady. The other thing they got to do is play keep away. If you don't want them to score points, then you got to control the time of possession. You got to run the football effectively and control Mariota. So if I'm the Patriots, the thing that they're going to do is they're going to try to attack like we saw the Chiefs attack. So when you watch the tape, 2 players that stands out to me, Brandon Cooks for the first. He reminds me of Tyreek Hill. They went after Adoree Jackson. So he's a young corner, a really, really good corner. But Brandon Cooks does some of those same plays. He's quick, he's fast, he runs those speed sweeps. They can give him the ball in space, and that's a tough matchup. They got him out of man zone. They actually put him in zone because he was kind of giving them a problem early. And then the other guy, the key guy on this defense, in my opinion, is Jayon Brown. Jayon Brown is a really talented young linebacker. He's a hybrid, a safety/linebacker. But you see right here, he had the tough task of covering Kelsey and a lot of other tight ends and running backs the entire season. He's built for it. He's strong. He's physical. He can run. But I think they're going to need a little more help over the top. I wouldn't match anybody up with Gronk, right, the way he's been playing, but I can see that matchup happening. So if you can contain those 2 players, it gives you a chance to play a close football game.
I'm glad you highlighted Jayon Brown. Played his college football at UCLA, went to your high school, Long Beach Poly. Didn't start in high school right away, didn't start in college right away.
Nope.
He played the quickest on this level in the NFL.
He's playing now.
Gotten better as he has moved along. Yeah. And remember this, too. The Titans have not beaten the Patriots since 2002. They have lost 6 straight.
I've played this game a long time.
Well, anytime you put up statistics and it says worst, 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 I don't think there is any explanation necessary. Nick Foles' numbers not ideal as a starting quarterback for the Eagles this season. For more on the Eagles, let's check in with James Palmer in Philly.
Eagles head coach Doug Peterson has made it abundantly clear this week they have to be better on first down, and they want to rely on their running backs, Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. And if you look at Jay Ajayi, he went for 130 yards, although he was with the Dolphins earlier this season against this Falcons defense, the only running back to go over 100 yards this season against the Falcons. And he also is well rested. They've had a bye week. He didn't play in the final game of the regular season and has played just 61 snaps since week 13. If they can get the ball moving on first and second down, the name of the game is getting third and short, third and manageable for Nick Foles. Carson Wentz was tremendous on third down this season. They need to get Nick Foles third and manageable to keep moving the chains.
Here's a look at that Eagles defense against some pretty good running back combinations. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, about as good as it gets in this business. Time will tell how they do against them. Speaking of good running backs, Lindsay's with one of those guys right now.
Yeah, Terrell Davis, the all-time leader in rushing yards per playoff game until last week, because Derrick Henry knocked you down.
Yeah, one game.
If he retires before tomorrow, you're screwed. Anyway, Freeman's also been pretty good in the playoffs, just under 100 scrimmage yards a pop. How do you see him and Coleman attacking that Eagles defense?
Well, I think they have to do some of the basic things, right? Number one is when they run with the football, be aggressive, break tackles, make extra runs. I'm going to show you something right here with this libero here. On the play right here, this is a simple handoff play, a 19 handoff. And watch this. This play is dead right here, right? Comes down. He should be tackled right there. But he's getting extra yardage right here. He runs through the tackler, puts his hand on the ground, picks up an extra 8 yards on that play. You got to get that done. Now, the second thing they have to do is be great in space, right? Get your running backs out on this protection right here. Coleman slips out of the backfield. It's a screen game. He catches the ball. And again, we're talking about getting more than the play gives you. He should be tackled right there, but he is not. He breaks the tackle on that run. He picks up an extra 15 to 20 yards on this play. These backs have to continue to do that with that defense. They're a very good defensive unit. If they can get plays like that in this game, they will be successful.
Freeman and Coleman with just under 1,500 rushing yards this season. Only running back duo still alive in the playoffs that has more than that. That's Kamara and Ingram in New Orleans. All right, so that's the Saturday NFC game. As for the other game in that conference, Minnesota's got New Orleans at home on Sunday in an interesting quarterback matchup. Case Keenum, who's never started a playoff game, and Drew Brees, who averages more passing yards per playoff game than anyone else in history.
He's been doing it the highest level for a long time. So he's he's getting the ball out fast and accurate. Can still throw it deep. Hit his guys flying down the field. So he knows what's coming and he knows where to get the ball.
He's shown this year that he's ready for this opportunity. A lot of people. That's all I heard early in the year when Sam got hurt. Can you guys continue to win with Case Keenum? And Case Keenum can't do this. Case Keenum can't do that. And he's proved everyone wrong all year long. So I don't expect it to be any different come playoffs.
The last game of the weekend just 2 days away now. In the meantime, Stacey Dales is in Eden Prairie.
The Minnesota Vikings are 2 wins away from becoming the first team to ever play for a Super Bowl on its home field. And while some teams may shy away from that, they are not. They are talking Super Bowl. And when I talked to cornerback Xavier Rhodes in the locker room, he told me, quote, "We are speaking it into existence." I talked to Kyle Rudolph, tight end on the other side of the ball, and he recently told me we've been talking Super Bowl since the offseason. In fact, so much so, moving into 2017, that week 1, ironically enough, against the New Orleans Saints, that Rudolph journaled that week. Home field advantage starts for us Monday night, September the 11th, against the New Orleans Saints. That's how real it was. Fast forward to now, and this team off the bye is ready to take the field at home on Sunday to further make their dreams a reality.
Let's look at a couple other headlines from around the league. Despite making the playoffs for the first time in nearly 2 decades, the Bills have decided to part ways with offensive coordinator Rick Dennison. The Bills' offense only scored 3 points in their playoff loss to the Jags, and it ranked 29th during the regular season. The Patriots getting starting receiver Chris Hogan back in the lineup. Hogan suffered a shoulder injury against the Chargers in late October and missed 7 of the Patriots' last 8 games. He was a monster during the Pats Super Bowl run last year, averaging six catches and 111 yards in 3 postseason games. Week 1 was nothing short of a Minneapolis mismatch.
He's hit and he's sacked. Burger throwing end zone. Antonio Brown, spectacular catch. Wow!
Goes left sideline. That ball is knocked incomplete and now picked off. A.J. Boye, what an interception that was.
He fires down the field and it's caught on a dead run. That is Juju Smith-Schuster, 98 yards.
Throws it out to the right side. It is knocked and picked off by Jalen Ramsey.
That is one of the most incredible athletic interceptions I have ever seen.
Jags linebacker Paul Posluszny back at practice as a full participant after missing a few days with an abdominal injury. Posluszny, part of a vaunted Jacksonville defense that ranks 2nd overall, 1st against the pass, and 2nd in sacks. Head coach Doug Marrone says he has this team ready for another showdown.
I think if you're not pleased, going into the playoff week, then you got some serious issues. So there's focus, there's energy, but I'm sure there's 7 other teams that are doing the same thing. A lot of credit to the trainers, the weight coaches, the players. Making sure that they're taking care of their bodies. We try to do a lot for them. Make it a little bit easier for them to take care of themselves.
In Pittsburgh, the Steelers are going to have Antonio Brown back on the field for the game, but he was not on the field for practice today. This was footage from a couple of days ago. He was actually sent home because he was sick. Aditi Kinkhabwala in Pittsburgh and has more on AB and the health of the Steelers.
Antonio Brown was not at practice today, but before anybody in Pittsburgh could panic, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said it was simply a little bug that had him sending Brown home. As he put it, he didn't want Brown getting anybody else sick. Overall, it was a good news health day for the Steelers. Defensive end Stephon Tuitt, who had a little trouble with his elbow, was a full participant. Cornerback Artie Burns, who'd hyperextended his knee on Wednesday, was also a full participant. Tomlin said he expects both to play. And while Brown was listed officially as questionable for Sunday's matchup with the Jaguars, when Tomlin was asked if he'd play, he said yes. And when he was asked about the 3-week layoff since Brown hurt his calf, he said, "We've all seen what Antonio can do."
Including the Jaguars, Aditi. AB with 157 yards receiving in that Week 5 matchup. Still obviously not enough for a win. That came a rough one for Pittsburgh, and this stat probably won't make them feel any better about it. The last 6 teams that have lost by 20 or more to someone in the regular season and then turned around and faced that team in the postseason, 0-6. No bueno. Help us to know what to look for here, Willie. What's a matchup that intrigues you?
Well, it's got to be that front 7 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers O-line. And I love the old saying, I'll show you.
Please do.
Better than I can tell you.
Show us.
So Todd Wash has done a great job this year of getting after the quarterback, but he's giving you a lot of different looks at doing it. So on this first look, when you see these guys line up, it's going to be from an unconventional look. So you see those guys freezing right there. So you got Telvin Smith in the A gap, you got Miles Jack, and you got Colvin, who's going to be coming. Okay, run the tape. All right, I had to freeze it one more time. Now look at this blitz. So you got Miles Jack that's going to hit the front side B gap. Telvin Smith's going to get out of there. And then you got to add Calais Campbell's going to come front side A, and then Ngakoue is going to be the looper. I used to love this game. We used to run it. But watch how it confuses the Buffalo Bills. Run the tape. The linemen get confused. You got guys coming away from a lot of different places. You get one-on-one matchups. So that's the thing that you like to do when you're doing this. Now look at Shady McCoy. He's going to be the single back here, right here. You got the speed sweep option. And look at how they maintain the wall. Freeze it right here for a second. Now, you got Dante Fowler. Now, against the same back, Le'Veon Bell, you got to do a good job of setting the edge, not giving him those valleys to run in. TD, you know a lot about this. Run the tape. Yeah. And then you got to have guys close him up, ball him up in that big circus of Jaguars, and then you got to run to the football. So when you got plays like that, you got to be able to do it. Now, here's the other thing. In coverage, their linebackers do a good job. You see Logan Thomas right here. This is the guy Tyrod Taylor's going to try to go to. They're in the zone drop. They do a great job. This is Miles Jack of breaking on the ball and reacting and making a play. And usually When you tip a ball and the ball goes up with the Jags, it's coming down with one of the Jags. It's going to be an interception or a bad play. So Todd Wash has done a great job of giving you multiple looks. But if Pittsburgh wants to survive what happened last time, they got to block that front four.
Man, it got me confused watching that over there, man. I mean, a lot of bodies, man. As a back, watching that in the backfield,
protection.
It's tough to protect when you have that many bodies all over the place, and it confuses you, and therefore you have to keep backs in the backfield, and or your quarterback just not comfortable the whole time.
Speaking of backs, and one that was pretty comfortable in the last matchup.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, 181 last time on the ground. He's not going to do that again, will he?
He had 5 games this year of over 100 yards. That was his best game of the year, 181. Okay, he's not doing that again. And here's why. There's 3 reasons why. Okay, the quarterback, Bortles, has not been playing great. Defensively, you stop the run game, make a quarterback beat you. The second reason here is last week against the Bills, 57 yards on 21 carries. He's not been the same back in recent weeks. The third reason here, man, Pittsburgh right now, the venom that they are spitting right now, come on, Willie. Willie, how would you feel if this happened to you?
Disrespected.
I would feel
disrespected.
And not only that, they're still talking about that. They're talking about how they're going to go back in to Pittsburgh and do the same thing. You don't think these people are using that as fuel? The Steelers aren't?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's not like the Steelers were trying to lose the game last time.
It was in week 5. It was week 5. Now, at that time, Jacksonville wasn't Jacksonville in Pittsburgh's mind. Let's think about that, right?
Possibly could have overlooked them.
Oh, possibly overlooked them. But now there is no overlook.
You're not trying to lose the game.
You're not trying to lose.
You're definitely not trying to lose.
Obviously not. But I'm just saying, if they are motivated, then Jacksonville might be as motivated hearing all week long from people like us that are saying that the Steelers are obviously going to do better.
As a linebacker, going into our meetings, the one thing that our DC is telling us that, hey, if we stop the run and we force Blake Bortles to throw the football, our chances are better at winning the football game versus letting this guy go for over 100. Now you open up multiple windows far as regardless of what could happen in the passing game. But everybody you hear talk, defenders that play against him in the division, that have played against him, what was your assignment going in? Force Blake Bortles to beat you. That's what it is. You got to take away the run.
Yes.
Blake Bortles, who had more rushing yards last week than passing yards.
For Ryan Shazier, 2017 was his best season in the NFL. That was until it was ended by a spinal cord injury last month. Now Shazier and his teammates are inspiring each other in their quest for another Lombardi trophy. Andrea Kramer has been working on a tremendous story about Shazier and the Steelers that's going to air on Game Day Morning this weekend. Here she is with Vince Williams, Mike Mitchell, and Ben Roethlisberger.
Way back when he first got drafted, he came here, he was like, yo, I'm going to be a gold jacket guy. I'm going to be the best linebacker that the world has ever seen.
How was he playing through 12 games?
I mean, he was awesome.
Play action fake big is going to be intercepted by Shazier. He took it away from the intended receiver.
He was a lock for all pro, if you ask me.
Until
he got hurt.
December 4th, Monday Night Football, first quarter.
On 2nd and 5, plenty of time for Dalton.
What do you remember?
It was a solid hit. It made a nice pop. I was like, oh, this is a good hit, Ryan. So I got up to celebrate with him. He was just laying there, and I'm like, oh, this don't look good.
I went out on the field to check on him. As I got closer to him, I could see that he had tears in his eyes. You know, I was just like, little bro, you know, what's up? And he was just like, you know, yo, I can't feel my legs.
You start hearing little tidbits of can't feel his legs, can't move, can't do this, can't do all these things that start coming out, and you're just like, whoa, is he going to walk again? Football becomes such a non-existent factor.
Such an emotional story. You can see it all on Game Day Morning. Andrea Kramer doing a wonderful job putting that piece together. Still plenty more to come here on NFL Total.
Now with our Hall of Fame running back playing Take Your Pick, TD, starting with the first game of the weekend, which features Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman versus Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount for the Eagles. Which duo has a better game? Take your pick.
Take your pick here. I am going to go. These two are real good, right? but these are some touchdown scoring Jessies over here. 12 total touchdowns on the year. A little bit more versatile on that side. I know they're playing against that defense. That's good. So let's go check mark over here. Atlanta Falcons with the edge against the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, what about this one? Derrick Henry or the Patriots?
This doesn't even seem fair, right? You got all these backs over here doing their thing. You got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had a monster game.
Yes, he
in
did.
his first playoff game. As you mentioned, got more yards per game than me in a postseason game. However, I like this right here. This is where it's going to happen. You got James White is really playing well. Deion Lewis is doing this thing. Deion Lewis is really the catalyst of this group right here. So give me the New England Patriots running back or the edge against the nice Titans running back.
Just so you know, Henry, with 156 yards last week, you need him to rush for less than 129 yards this week to become the all-time playoff leader in yards per game again.
Oh, man.
That's
less
your
than that.
rooting
Okay,
interest.
all right. I'm not going to root against the man right there.
This is a good one. Leonard or Le'Veon?
Yeah, 2,000-yard running backs here. Leonard Fournette, he's a monster, man. He had that big game in Pittsburgh, but I can't say he's going to go back up in Pittsburgh and do the same thing. So give me this man right here, Mr. Versatile. Le'Veon Bell gets the nod in that department.
Okay, finally, we have Ingram, Kamara, or we have McKinnon or Murray.
I mean, these boys over here, 20 total touchdowns. These boys are getting it done right here, Kamara and Ingram. So I'm going to go right. I know they're playing against that Vikings defense, who is real good. But again, versatility to me is important. And those guys are going to be hungry. Didn't have a great game in that first game in the wild card round.
Ingram and Kamara, the #1 rushing duo in the league. We all know that. Know who's #2 since week 5?
Who's that? These two guys. All right.
You wouldn't have guessed that.
Sneaky,
it's not
though.
as dramatic, the statistical difference as you may think, Dan.
From one TD to another TD. Thomas Davis in film study, 2014 Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's a Pro Bowler. He's an All-Pro. He's pretty much all everything.
He's a beast.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's the current beast. William McGinnis, obviously the former beast on the field. A couple of linebackers here who are going to kind of break down this Saints offense. You have the running back tandem that is so dangerous. You have the Hall of Fame quarterback. And then you sprinkle in a little Sean Payton and his play calling that might be one of the most imaginative play callers in NFL history. This is not easy to defend, fellas.
It's not. I call it mass confusion because he wants to give you a lot of different looks. He wants to make the tempo go a little bit faster and try to get the mismatches in those formations in the players that you just mentioned.
Yeah, these guys are very dangerous. And when you look at what the Saints like to do, they like to come out scripted on the first 15 plays, and they try to create matchup nightmares for defenses. And what they do, they go really fast, and they make you force your hand on the defensive side of the ball.
And I'm glad you said that because we're going to show a place. Here's the first play you guys lined up in. So you guys thought they were going to come out and give you all these different runs, but freezer right here, Dream. What are they doing right here?
Right now, he's undressing the look. If you take a linebacker out there, Drew Brees automatically know instantly that you're in man coverage.
Watch him peek over here. Go ahead and run the tape. Watch him peek over here at Luke. Wow, we got Luke out of the box. So the one thing going through his mind now, I might not want to throw that ball out here. So I got to look at the vacated spot. Run the tape, and we'll show you. When we flip the formation, that was where Luke Kuechly was staying.
There's the bubble.
That's the bubble. So that's where they want to attack. And you guys did a great job at making this play.
We did a great job of limiting production on that play, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's not about that play. It's about the picture that you're showing Sean Payton.
So you guys saw that picture before, but on this picture, you guys didn't see this matchup. So you got Kamara in the backfield, and you got the receiver Lewis. So when you run the tape and let it go right here, run it, Dream, what's the shift?
Yep. So Lewis is a versatile player.
Freeze it.
They use him in a lot of different ways. And Kamara, we all know that he's very versatile. They use him in different ways as well. And this was a 3rd and short situation where they knew, based on 3rd and short, what the Carolina Panthers like to do.
Man-to-man.
We like to go man-to-man coverage. So
and you didn't go man-to-man right here. You guys stayed in zone.
We zoned it up a little bit, switched it up. And
so they stuck with the play. It wasn't a good matchup outside. Now, here's the other different thing. Like, here's the role that Mike Adams is playing now, but, Harrison Smith will probably be playing. He's going to play in the box. He's probably going to blitz off the edge. So when you run the tape, okay, now when you identify the guys you need to stop, it's Kamara and Michael Thomas at the top.
Absolutely.
And you guys identified them, and we're going to freeze the tape right here. Freeze it for a minute. You guys identified them.
Cannot forget about the speed demon in the slot. Ted Ginn Jr.
Too much attention. You guys got 4 guys basically on 2, and you forget about Ted Ginn, where they wasn't originally going to Ted Ginn on this play.
Right, big mistake. Whenever you give Ted Ginn all of this green right here, it's going to make for a long day.
All right, run the tape. We'll see what happened. I know you don't like the result of this play, but the safety got caught looking at Mike Thomas, which is a big threat. And then Ted Ginn went up the middle, and he almost got there, the cornerback, but it turned into a big play.
It did turn into a big play, but if you look at this Vikings defense, I think they're much more equipped to handle the Saints offense than we were on that day, because the Vikings are going to do a great job of taking away the run, because that's how you got to do as a defense. You got to make a team one-dimensional, and I feel like they're going to do a great job of that. But where the difference lies is in their back end. You have Xavier Rhodes, Rhodes closed.
You got Wayne. You got Wayne.
And he travels, you think?
I think he's definitely going to travel with Michael Thomas this week. And then you look at Trey Waynes. He's a guy that can keep up with Ted Ginn step for step. There's not a lot of guys in the league that I would tell you can keep up with Ted Ginn, because he's one of the fastest guys still in this league. But Trey Waynes is one of those guys that can do that.
Your former teammate, Ted Ginn, so you know exactly how fast he is.
Absolutely. And I got to see how fast he was again last week.
You didn't like that part.
That particular play. Hey, Andrus Peat broke his leg against you guys, so he's out. How big of a factor do you think that's going to be?
I think that's going to be a huge factor. I think that's one of the things that keeps getting overlooked in this game, because when you look at the Minnesota Vikings and what they like to do and what they do really well, they do a great job of getting after the quarterback with just 4 rushers. If you look at Hunter on the outside, you got Griffin on the outside, and you got Davin Joseph on the inside. Those guys create problems on the front 4. And then you lose a guy like Pete, you lose the starting offensive lineman, is definitely going to make for a tougher day. So I think they're going to do a really good job of taking advantage of that matchup.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see Mike Zimmer and all the different looks that he can throw at you, like you mentioned. He's going to give you man. He's going to give you blitz zones. He's going to move guys around. And how will Sean Payton adjust after he just gets everything thrown at him? If you're scripted, how are you going to adjust against this defense and make those adjustmunk like he did against, like he tried to do against you?
It's going to be an interesting chess match, and I'm looking forward to watching this game this weekend.
I can't wait to see these guys go out. Look how excited Thomas Davis. He's not even playing. He wishes he was playing this week. He's excited. He's just talking about it.
That's why he's going for another year.
Got to shoot for it.
Still to come, Fandom Friday.
Talk about great analysts and great players. Divisional weekend, the best weekend of football. Willie McGinnis in 6 divisional games. A 4-2 record. 3 sacks against the Titans back in 2003. How about our man TD? 2-1 in 3 divisional round games, 130 yards per game. That's below his playoff average. That's how good he was. 21 carries for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns against Miami. And then Thomas Davis, 2-3 in the divisional round. Still playing, still getting it done. Time now for a little players only.
But Dan, what you're saying, I heard all the numbers. It's 14 games of divisional round playoffs here. And you talk about experience and getting past the first round, whether you had a bye or whether you had to get past that first game. TD, the younger TD.
Yeah, I was saying, which one are you talking to, man?
The younger TD, the linebacker.
Yeah, call me the old man TD.
What goes through your mind, like going into that second game or going to the first game if you had a bye? Some of your memories or some things that stuck out to you.
One of the things that really stood out to me was a couple of years ago we played San Fran. We were a young football team, and we hadn't been to the playoffs in a while, and we didn't really handle that situation very well. We had a first round bye, and we had San Fran coming in, and we had played them earlier in San Fran, and things didn't go well because we allowed our emotions to get the best of us. And I think for us as a football team, that helped us work to overcome that. But then I go back to the Seattle game, and we had a game where we jumped out. We got a big lead against Seattle, and Seattle fought back in that game, and they actually came down to an onside kick. And me being a defensive guy, they put me out there.
With those nice hands. That makes sense to me, right?
Kick.
Did you get it?
I got it.
That's all that matters.
Got the hops there, man. For me, man, it was 97 divisional round. It was against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was our first road playoff game. And to me, it always sticks out because it was a 14-10 game. It was just a grind. It was a grind of a game. It was the first time that we had beaten Kansas City in KC in 3 years. The divisional team was just hard to beat them in Kansas City. And we scored with about 12 minutes left in the game. I knew that would be the last touchdown that we scored in that game.
Wow.
It was that tough.
Wow.
And so it was crucial that we scored a touchdown, and this is the first one. The second one is.
How many did you get, TD?
I almost fumbled the ball, by the way, in the second second run. I had 101 yards. There you go, right there.
There you go.
101, 2 touchdowns.
You're talking about a grimy game and a tough game. We played Tennessee in the divisional round, and the one thing I remember is one of the most physical games. It was definitely the coldest game in my 15 years that I've ever played in. And the one thing we knew going into this game, they wanted to play smash mouth football. They wanted to go in and they wanted to run the football. They had Eddie George, they had McNair, they had guys like that. And it came down to the last drive for them to win the game. And the first play, we kind of got out of it. They had 3 plays left. And I don't know what happened on the sideline, but our defense coordinator, Romeo Cornell, he gave us a regular call, and we was in dime. So we had to figure it out and make the adjustment on the field. We had to get ourselves in the position and just play a call because they saw we were a little confused. So they ran to the line, and they started calling the plays. We jumped into one of our most favorite blitzes, which we call rain, and we just played the same blitz for 3 downs, and we survived the drive. All they needed was a field goal.
Y'all made it rain.
We made it rain.
Made it work. I like it.
So divisional weekend, this is big.
Yeah.
And Dan, this is probably the best and the most exciting week of football divisional rounds.
Excellent work, fellas. Let's check out the Castrol Edge Clutch Performer of the Week with Marcus Mariota's 205 yards and 2 touchdowns in that Titans comeback win over the Chiefs. Marcus Mariota, the Castrol Edge Clutch Performer of the Week for Wild Card Weekend.
Thomas Davis, who will be rooting from here tomorrow as part of our game day morning coverage all weekend long. All right, 2 questions today, gentlemen. First up, it's about that Sunday AFC game. Which unit would you rather have, the Jaguars cornerbacks or the Steelers wide receivers? Thomas?
For me, as a defensive guy, the way that these guys have played all year long, and another factor that's contributing to my decision is AB's health. I was going to say that. I don't think that his calf is going to be completely healed to go a full game, so I got to go with the Jags DBs.
You're saying the Steelers are lying about him being 100?
You named all of them except for one. Aaron Colvin. You got to add him to that package over there. And I'm taking the Jags cornerbacks all day long.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going defense too. That sounds like me, but I'm going deep in this one too. Give me that defense.
Clean sweep. AB's on the the other side, guys. All right, let's see what the fans say.
I still don't know at this point.
They know. The fans agree.
The fans know. The fans get it.
I guarantee it's from AB's calf.
Yes. Let me just point out, Jalen Ramsey allowed 100 receiving yards in coverage in Week 5 against those guys, and
that was Week 5.
Antonio Brown had
that was Week 5. That's a long time ago.
Okay, which wide receiver will have the most yards this weekend? Will it be AB versus Jacksonville? We know your answer is probably no there. Julio at Philly, Cooks versus Tennessee, or Thomas at Minnesota?
You know what? These are some great matchups here.
I feel like I've been picking Falcons all day, and I don't want to do it, but I got to go with Julio.
It's painful, isn't it?
Can I jump on his bandwagon?
It's very painful, but I got to go with Julio, man.
Jump
Julio
on
is
the
a
bandwagon.
beast.
His numbers against Philadelphia are crazy. 133 yards he averages. He has like 3 or 4 touchdowns. Like, that's his go-to game. That's his numbers game when he plays
the one
Philly.
He wants. Okay.
Yeah, but you said the fans are probably going to go here.
Where are you going?
I'm going there. I'm going Cooks.
Oh, you're going to go with Cooks? You think the fans
No, I'm going with Cooks because I just think that, that offense and, with the linebackers and you got Gronk, the running backs and Gronk.
And he could possibly going against a rookie in Adoree Jackson, which is a good matchup.
Exactly.
But Adoree's good now.
Yeah, he is fight on.
He is. But
fight on again.
Okay, so those are your answers, and the
it's
fans
going there. It's going there.
It's going there.
Oh no!
Oh
no! Wait a minute.
Fans must think he's 1,000%.
Fans think he's AB.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But then they got it
toning in.
Okay.
Really concerned about the calf, though, huh?
Our guy was second.
Not sure. Okie dokie. Still to come, 4 games, 3-player.
One play at a time.
Let's play together, man. And let's play with love for each other. Play hard, play with passion.
Make sure. And remember the Titans.
Good job. Great job, Dad. That is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Who run? We run. Who run? We run. Who run? We run. Let's ride on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's ride.
Sunday Night Football. That's when stars are born. That's when people come alive. Everybody watching. Your mama watching.
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest. Let's go, baby. 1, 2, 3, win.
Time to reveal who the fans think They're going to win this weekend's games, presented by Applebee's.
Okay, fans.
Falcons at the Eagles. They're taking the Eagles. They're also taking the Patriots, who are big favorites. The Steelers over the Jags and the Vikings. I believe they're taking every favorites.
All of the top seeds, not the favorites,
really?
Because the Eagles are not favored at home.
Great point.
The first number one seed ever.
Great point. She's 100% accurate. Let's get the picks from our three experts right here. Falcons and Eagles. Willie Mack.
I agree with the fans. I think that the underdog, the Eagles, will probably come out. Now, I think they're going to turn this into an ugly smash-mouth game, which if I'm them, I want to do that. Not through Foles' arm, but through the running backs.
I like Philly's defense. I just don't believe enough in their offense, so I'm going with Falcons, unfortunately.
I like that you phrased that in such a generic way. The offense in general, all of it.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles here, man. I just think because everybody's picking the Falcons, that's just a recipe for disaster when everybody's picking the visiting team. They're at home, man. They're the number one seed, so give me the Eagles.
Okay, what about Titans-Patriots, the other Saturday game?
Your turn.
Willie, yeah, we can just go ahead and go right past that.
Just check Mark in there. Just check Willie's.
Patriots.
There you go. There you go.
My producer's in my ear like, Willie just went. Next.
Well, hey, I got to go with Willie on this one. Can't beat Tom Brady in Foxborough.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I was close, man. I was close to picking this game, man. I think the Titans.
Can you please tell me why?
I said close, but I'm not picking that. Give me those Patriots, man. I'm not.
Everybody looking over those underdogs.
Because it has to be the perfect game by the Titans to win this game. And I don't think they'll play the perfect game. So
I'm taking the Titans. Not that anybody cares. I'm just saying right now. You came back from 18 down in Kansas City. They can.
That's not the same thing.
Jags, Steelers, Matt, go.
I don't think it's to be week 5. Everybody's talking about week 5. These are two new teams. Jags defense are great. I just don't believe in the offense. But I think if Pittsburgh can score 17 points, I'm only saying 17 points. Offensively, they win this game.
Looks like TD's going to reiterate everything you just said.
Same story, man. Same story. Blake Bortles just hasn't done enough for me this year for me to choose those guys. And I know that they won the first game with using Fournette, but I just can't see the Steelers letting that happen again, so I got to go with the Steelers.
I think it's a sweep here. We're all going Steelers here. Yeah, man. Listen, I appreciate Jacksonville's defense. But like Willie said, no offense. And you can't just have Leonard Fournette try to go out there and manufacture an offense for you. It's going to come down to Blake Bortles.
Unless they scored 3 touchdowns on defense.
It's not going to happen again. You can't count on 5 picks again during this game. It's not happening.
No, their defense is pretty good.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, they have been falling.
I'm giving them credit.
And we keep writing them off because of Blake Bortles, and they keep winning.
How many points did they score last week?
That's not the point.
10 points?
10?
That won't get it done.
They held them to 3.
That's true. 10 that's what counts.
10 at home.
That's a different offense.
10 at home.
Right, Taylor.
Right. At home.
Yeah.
Okay. Saints, Vikings. Willie, you're up first, so I'm really excited to see what.
This is, you know what, this is, I keep going back and forth, and this is one of the toughest games because I look at the chess that's going to happen between Zimmer and Sean Payton. And I know it's a tough environment. I love Minnesota's defense, but nobody's been talking about Case Keenum and his offense all week long. Can they keep up if Drew Brees does get going? And if that happens, it comes into a battle, who are you going to choose in that? I gotta go with Drew Brees. I'm sorry.
So now the first 2 games, I felt like we had quarterback situations that wasn't good enough to get it done, but I definitely feel that Minnesota has the balance, offensively and defensively, that it takes to beat the New Orleans Saints, and I'm definitely going against them because I want to see them come and join us at home.